Nothing could be finer than
Than
a
our woodland by the sea.
Hey, everybody,
Hey, it's a privilege.
It's a privilege to be here. We got a very special episode of Nothing Sacred Shrink Wrap with Louie Loke, where we talk about psychological issues of anything going on with that. But we've got a very special guest with us, Mr. Mark Lucas, the returning camp director for Camp Bloomfield and the Wayfinder organization. Thank you very much for joining us, Mark.
Yeah, man. Thanks for taking the time out here to hang out with us.
My honor and privilege. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely.
So man,
go ahead. I was just going to say, so how did you even get into this kind of work, man? With working, with blind kids and doing this whole thing. You were part of USABA for a while. So tell us about that a little bit, your little journey.
All right. Well, 1985. Where were you in 85? I answered an ad in the Los Angeles Times, and I interviewed for 3 positions. One was in Port Hueneme, working at a military base for the Seabees, providing military opportunities for military personnel and their families. They offered me the position. There was a camp up in Mammoth, a boys and girls club camp. Interviewed, got the position, and I really, really, really wanted the position at the Foundation for the Junior Blind. I wanted to run that summer camp in Malibu, and it was 85. I interviewed once, I interviewed twice, and it was a Sunday morning. And good old Joe Bernstein in 85 called up and at 8 in the morning on a Sunday and offered me the position. And that's how I first started working with people who are blind and visually impaired. The year was 85.
Wow, because that was my first. That was my first year at camp, and that was the year of the
we
fire.
Had to evacuate.
We had to evacuate the camp and shut down early for the elementary session. And I don't know, were you assistant? Because that was my first year. I was a camper at Camp Bloomfield. Let's just go over that real quick. I was a camper at Camp Bloomfield from 85 to 94, counselor from 95 to 96, 97. So huge part of my life.
We got a big history there, man. For me, it was 84 was my first year, and 93 was my last. Then I worked there in 99. So,
and Louie?
Yeah, I went from 83 to 93. I was supposed to go until 94, but things happened. And also I, as we talked about before, I skipped a year in 92 because I wanted to take a pre-calculus course. Holy smokes, how nerdy is that, right?
Oh, man. Skip Camp Bloomfield for pre-calculus?
And Mark, you were the director there. I think you were assistant director in 85, but the actual director from 86 to 92. Is that correct? Was 92 your last year as a director?
You're absolutely correct. I was the assistant camp director in 85, and it was the year we evacuated. And then I was camp director from 86 to 93.
Yeah. So 90. So yeah, because you basically were the camp director for all of us. Everyone, it must have been crazy following up Norm Kaplan. Everyone talks about Norm, but for me, you were kind of that guy. You were the guy there for all of my time at camp. So I didn't actually experience Norm as a camp director. So I know you got a lot of people coming in. Oh, Norm Kaplan is the greatest. Coming in after that because he was a legend there, obviously.
Yeah,
you're a legend there too.
Really hard. It was really hard to fill Norm's shoes. And I was this young guy full of piss and vinegar, excuse my French, but I was coming in and I wanted to do things my way. But I got beat up pretty good that first year and second year when I was camp director because people love those traditions, those camp traditions that Norm started. And so I figured why fight City Hall? And if all the campers love it, that's what the motto and mantra was: campers come first. So I jumped on the bandwagon or on board and did it and went with the feeling, and that was to keep Christmas in July and New Year's Eve dance and casino night and all those good traditions that Norm started.
Well, I'll tell you one tradition you started though, man, was how you would pull jokes on us to make us think that we weren't having a New Year's dance in some way.
Yeah.
Like the one where you fired the DJ supposedly. We're going, how you fired James? And we're all so pissed off.
We're all the high school kids are protesting. James is fired. Jason Steele, all these crazy dudes that you might remember, were all getting upset about it because James was, and it was all just to play along with the.
I mean, James was as popular as Norm Kaplan. I mean, seriously.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah,
that's
true.
Oh, he was spinning the vinyl, and he went as far as we had a U-Haul or a trailer hook up to the back of a vehicle and put his equipment in just to kind of keep that
the whole joke going, right?
As far as I could. Yeah. That was a good one.
Well, I'll tell you one where a buddy of mine got you was because it was his first year there. It was in 91. And you guys had it where you made it like somebody had pulled the fire alarm and the fire alarm went off. Well, we already knew what was up. So my buddy goes, all right, I'm the one who pulled it. and you had him in the office and you're like, pull his file. And it was this whole, and then eventually he came in, you're like, have you been here before? And he's like, no, my friends told me though, what's going on. So yeah, that was kind of funny, man. He got one on you this time.
Yeah, we have a lot of memories. And the thing about, for the visually impaired people out there, obviously Max, you wouldn't know about this, but maybe Lou, you might. Mark has some of the blondest straw blonde hair you could ever find. So everyone who could see a little bit knew exactly where Mark was if he was around, because you could just see him with long hair with the beard. It's the mustache or whatever. And it's like you could never mistake you. Oh, there's Mark. He's walking around there. So yeah, it was like I said, it was a very a foundation in my life as a child. And it's interesting because maybe we can start going this a little bit because we all, we know you started doing that in 90, and then in 93 you went to a different direction and left the foundation at that time. And I think you left it in the hands of Lisa Furman, who was director for a couple of years. And then, and I'm still friends. I'm sure you still have lifelong friends there, just like we do from camp.
Oh yeah. Well, hey, this is prime example right here.
Yeah. Unfortunately,
right.
In 2018, the original campgrounds were part of the Woodley fire, and the camp was basically just destroyed. There's some video online, if you can look at it, if you can stomach it, on YouTube, where some guy's driving around on a motorcycle. I'm not sure if you saw that, or have you had a chance to go to the actual original site and check it out after the fact, Mark?
I have, and I've been up above, actually, on some mountain peaks up above in the Santa Monica Mountains, and I've seen those videos. I haven't been totally inside of the camp, no, but I know it's pretty well devastated.
Yeah, it was destroyed. It was incredible to see. Like if you go up to Happy Hollow, like the guy drove up there and he's driving across the top of a truck. And it's completely encased in mud. There was massive mudslides down in Happy Hollow, which is basically the top part of the camp, like where baseball field, a lot of like athletics were done there. But that truck, that red truck that was there for I don't know how long, you could just see the top of it. It was completely covered, and it's unfortunately the camp isn't able to be or not cost effective to be rebuilt at the same location, right?
Right, that is correct. And Wayfinder has made the decision to move on. And so over the course of the last 6 months, I've been looking at various campsites, facilities all across Southern California and as far north as the Sequoias. So I'm pleased to announce that this week we should be getting a letter of agreement from a camp to be disclosed at a future time, probably by the end of the month or the beginning of November, where that new Camp Bloomfield location is going to be held.
Nice. Awesome. So they are rebuilding. It's just going to be relocated, huh?
It's going to be relocated. Look, I mean, you guys know this more than anyone, and every camper and counselor who's gone through that program knows that the spirit of Camp Bloomfield is it's more than just the location. It's the friends, the bonds, the activities, and the memories that bond us all together. And we could do Camp Bloomfield on Mars or in on an island somewhere in the Caribbean. It wouldn't matter, because we can create that same magic of Camp Bloomfield. And my theory is kind of like Santa Claus. When you were a kid, you believed in Santa Claus, and when you found out, you were pretty devastated. And that's kind of the analogy of camp burning down, that magic of Camp Bloomfield. But you know full well you still want to create that magic of Christmas for kids, and you want to keep that Christmas spirit in your heart, even though you know there may not be a Santa Claus. And just like the Camp Bloomfield, I mean, that analogy is we're going to keep that spirit going. And that's my job, is moving forward to find this magical place that we're going to create that same Camp Bloomfield experience for hundreds of kids who are blind, and their families and their brothers and alumni. So I'm pretty excited. It's going to be a couple of weeks from now, or 3 weeks, and we'll be announcing where that next Camp Bloomfield is going to be held.
So by next summer, like summer 2022, you guys will have a new camp, huh?
Well, it'll be a new camp, a new summer camp. And I'm thinking this camp is going to work out because it has many of the traditional camp activities that Camp Bloomfield also had. So think about what those activities were, and the swimming, the horseback riding, outdoor camping,
archery,
nature, archery. At this camp that I'm looking at has archery also. So
nice.
Yeah.
Man.
So we're close to announcing where it's going to be held.
Well, what's great is you're the original, you're the guy, man. You know the like you said, the spirit of Camp Bloomfield and how it's supposed to be. When I worked there in '99, man, it was a lot different. And even a lot of the campfire songs were very visual. There was a point where somebody had to show me what the hand signs they were doing. And I'm thinking, well, these are blind kids, man. How are any of them going to see that? So it's good that you're coming back.
Yeah. Because
go ahead. A blind person once gave me the best compliment that I ever could have. I mean, I'm not blind myself, although I'm losing my vision and hearing, and that's all age related stuff. But somebody said that I had the heart of a blind person, and that's just it. I mean, camp is for blind people who are blind and visually impaired. And so I've been in the field of blindness for 30 some years, and I do not profess to know everything within the field, but I do know that we need to make adaptations so that people who are blind could achieve the highest success they possibly can, because blind people live in a sighted world, and it needs to be adapted so blind people can maneuver through this world. And that's the beauty of all the technology. Obviously, you guys know that more than anybody now.
Oh, yeah.
On how technology has improved everybody's life, especially people who are blind or have disabilities.
Oh, and I always say that too. It's a great time to be blind. Because I think if we were our age now in, say, the 70s, I probably wouldn't have the job I have. We wouldn't be doing this podcast, So yeah, no, it's a wonderful time to be
in some
blind.
ways. So real quick, how did you get back involved with Wayfinder? Did it just happen that you just they were looking for someone to kind of get camp going again, and you were just there at the right time?
Yeah, I mean, right time, right place. I was working with the United States Association of Blind Athletes in Colorado Springs for 28 years. That's where I went after I left the junior blind, now Wayfinder. But I separated from the organization after 28 phenomenal years. And my wife thought that I needed to get out of the door and start working again so that we could have a healthy marriage, because I was driving her crazy. And so I was floating around out there, and I saw that Josh Lucas, no relationship to me, that I'm a better looking guy, by the way, but he probably is bigger, stronger, faster. But no, the point is that we're not related, but I'm back in his position, in my old position. And so it's kind of cool how it just worked out, because he had left, and I saw the position was open, and I thought, well, this will be a great opportunity for me with COVID, the camp burning down. They're looking for someone, and I thought, well, I can be that someone. I can create that magic.
Yeah, because you know what it's like. You've been there, and like I said before, camp for me as a kid, camp was where I grew up. I mean, you know, like that's right. Where, as because a lot of times, especially when you feel normal, and I want to talk about something, kind of shift gears.
Yeah, that's actually a good segue, man.
Why? What? Because when I was a kid, we went to camp. Even the elementary sessions, they were like 2 weeks long. The high school session was 16 days of just straight up awesome for the campers. Because when you go there, you're not around, you're in your own element. You know, there's no like everyone else is visually impaired or blind. So you're just in this like element where you really start to interact in ways that you might not normally like that normal kids would do in high school. But for whatever reason, camp sessions have completely shrunk to the point where even the high school sessions are like 6 days. And I'm like, I don't know. It just doesn't seem like because it seems like after I left camp every year, I kind of changed a little bit. I grew up a little bit. And I don't know if that would have happened if the sessions were 6 days. Is there a reason why the sessions have shrunk so much compared to what they were when we were kids or younger?
Yeah, I mean, it's philosophical, of course, but think about this. I mean, as camp started, when I was at camp and the years started to unfold in the late 80s and 90s, and those days were 21 days, as a camp manager, it is really hard to manage and motivate camp staff after 14, 15 days.
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
Okay.
As a counselor, it does get, I've been there.
And so from a management perspective, it's a hard challenge. But the other piece is, I mean, think about this, and you may not agree with it philosophically, but as when I was camp director, the one year when we shrunk the camp down, session down, we replaced it with something else, and that was family camp. In family camp for mom and her dad, and the kid who's newly blind, that's 6, 7 years old, or not newly blind, but just new to Camp Bloomfield. Most of those 6 and 7 and 8-year-olds, I saw half of them in my office because they were homesick. But we started family camp. And what happened was family camp was so darn popular that by the time I left in 93, there were 3 family camps. San Francisco Lighthouse is doing family camps. Family camps are extremely, extremely popular. Hard to manage if you're a camp counselor and you're assigned to a family to tell, to guide them through the sessions.
Then again, family camp as a counselor was just like, depending if you got a cool family, was really chill.
Like, yeah, it was. It was almost like, too chill. It was like,
camp.
I don't have to do anything.
Unless you got like one of the crazy families, because there were a couple of families that were a little harder to deal with. I thought you were like their help or whatever, but most of the time it was just like, leave us alone. We're just having a good time. Okay.
Well, they had 2 family camps when I was working there. So the one family was great. Yeah. I mean, I didn't have to do anything, but then the next one, they got in a fight in the cabin and all kinds of crazy stuff, man. So,
Right.
Yeah. But you're right.
Oh, you must be familiar with some of this stuff, Mark.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. So, but and there's the reason why. I mean, and here's some of the other things that we're facing, or I'm facing as a camp director. I mean, every single camp that I'm looking at is humming away and just locked in July. And so what's going to happen this year is as soon as LA Unified School District gets out, I'm going to be launching that first camping session. It's going to be June 9th is our targeted date to start staff orientation.
Oh man.
And so we've got 1 month to get a elementary, junior, senior, alumni, and family camp in. So that's the other challenge that's facing us. But my goal is to serve birth all the way up to 99 for people who are blind and visually impaired that want to go to a summer camp experience.
Did you start buddy camp? Because when I was working there, they had something called buddy camp where you could bring your sighted friend, you know,
I think
from
that was
school.
a later on thing. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Wasn't sure if he started that or who started that, but
no, I started it. I started it 1 year because I saw those younger kids being dropped off by their parents, and they would be in the car and their big old doggy face was sad because they didn't get to go. And so I did start buddy camp. So one of the things that I'm really going to work hard this summer to do is create a very, very cutting edge counselor and training program. I'm talking about kids who are 15, 16, and 17. And think about this. When they're in elementary session, what I'm going to do this year, I'm going to try it, is combine 7-year-olds and 17-year-olds.
Oh, boy.
And the 15, 16, and 17-year-olds, they can apply to be camp CITs. So if you're 15, you could be a rookie CIT. The next year, if you move up the ranks and do a good job, you could be a junior CIT. Then the following year, a senior CIT. And then you're 18, you could apply to be a camp counselor. I really want to try to create this transition for kids who are blind and visually impaired to give them responsibilities, particularly working with kids in the outdoors, and help them transition so that they can be successful in careers. So that's one of the things I'm really going to work hard on this summer to do.
That's awesome.
That's awesome.
Because you're thinking ahead. You're thinking about careers. You're thinking about after high school.
Well, it goes along, and maybe I know Luie's still lurking in the shadows there, Luie.
Yeah, Luie,
but it goes,
jump in anytime, man.
Yeah, please. It goes along with kind of what we were kind of talking about, and this is normal in normal kids, the helicopter parents, the snowplow parents who just do everything for their kids, and I've seen that. Because when I was growing up, it was like you're visually impaired, but you're going to go out there and you're going to go to this camp and you're going to do these things because you're just like everybody else. But you have a vision problem, and I don't know if that's the case these days. I haven't been around a lot of blind children, but I know how normal how the tech, the social media is affecting normal children. It's got to be kind of a similar effect of like the take care of the kid type thing for visually impaired kids. I don't know if that's something that you've noticed working with, over the last. How have you seen the evolution of how blind children are treated? Has it regressed, or do you think it's gotten better?
I think it's an individual thing. I see some really cool parents who know to allow their children to take risks, just like any other sighted kid or any other kid. And I think it's all individualized per family, per parent. And so, I mean, it all goes down to values, the way you were brought up, the way your parents parented you. Are you a risk taker or you're not? So I don't know if it's degressed or progress, but I don't know. I just think that there's some really incredible parents out there who do not helicopter, who allow their kids to fall and skin their knees and get back in the game and dust it off. But remember, for 28 years, I was in that sports arena. So there you're going to bump and bruise even a little bit more. So, and that's the key. I mean, you want teachers, you want parents, you want siblings to, treat a person who's blind just like any other person. And so I don't know if it's changed, progress, or degress, but that's my opinion.
I don't know, man. When I was working there, I had a lot of kids that their parents never really disciplined them. So when you would do it, I actually had kids tell me, no, I'm not doing that. And I'm like, what? Because like as a kid, an adult told me to do something, I did it,
Right.
So,
Right. Well, back in my day, you got a paddle, and with a paddle with that had holes drilled in it. I got
Right.
hit so hard one time I almost went in the urinal 10 feet in front of me. So
Oh God.
we got swatted.
So Luie, what do you think, man? You got any perspective on this, or?
Yeah, so I was thinking about how camp is, why it's so popular, why it's so trend setting, why it was so such a big deal for all of us. And the one thing that I can come up with is this whole idea of, it's called social learning theory. And so basically the social learning theory is that it's kind of like this idea of having a role model. And I think Mark has a good idea of having, older kids who are, counselors in training, but they're actually showing younger kids, hey, I'm blind like you, but look what I have been able to do. And it kind of brings up this whole idea of having a role model and saying, okay, look, I may be blind, but there's this other guy over here who's older than me, who's gone through the trenches as I am going to go through the trenches, and he's come out on the other side, victorious. And so it's like, I think the whole idea with camp is that, we all had this idea of, okay, we might be the only blind person that we know in our city, in our area, right?
Right.
Or in our neck of the woods, let's just say. But when we got all together, we learned from one another. We learned, some people were a little more talented in certain things and more skillful in certain things. But then, we all learned from each other and said, oh, wait, you mean I can do that too? Okay, cool. I'm going to try that. I was thinking about, like, there's a couple of activities that we did that were like really weird for me, but I was like, okay, I guess I'll try it. It was like the martial arts kind of stuff.
Oh,
you guys remember that stuff?
Yeah, I do. They did judo.
Yeah. And see, I really wish that I would have learned judo a long time ago. I don't know it now, and I really wanted to learn it, But just the whole idea of a blind person being able to do martial arts was like, what? We can do that too? Oh shoot, I didn't know that. Let me rethink this. Let me
Yeah.
Right.
let me try this. I have no idea how this is going to work, but they're saying that blind people can do martial arts. All right, cool.
Right.
And
There was
in
no
my
limits.
little 12-year-old, 13-year-old, 14-year-old brain, I was just like, I can't do this.
Hey, they had
But I
us
was like,
playing
well,
basketball,
I'm gonna
man. It was
try
crazy.
Oh yeah.
Oh, I love basketball, man.
Yeah.
Basketball was my it was actually my outlet when my parents were divorcing. It was a big outlet for me. And so I would practice a lot. And so when we played basketball at camp, I was like in my element. I was like, yeah, I'm in here. I'm in there.
See, for me, it was too fast moving and not being able to see. So I had trouble with it. But the fact they were even getting us out there to do this, like, come on, man, we're going to play basketball. And you're going, what?
Yeah. Right.
So that's what taught me that I couldn't do it. But Mark brought up a good point years ago when he pulled me and a few of my buddies in for bullying some kids at rest hour one time.
You?
Yep, me. Can you believe it?
No.
And one thing Mark said, and this kind of messed me up when he said this, he's like, do you know that this place is one of the few places where kids actually feel normal and like they're part of something here, as opposed to when they're at school? So obviously, like you were saying earlier, Luie, a lot of times you're the only blind dude in the building, but in this case, it was all other blind people. And it's like, hey, we're all cool. We're all, and this is one place where they could feel accepted. So yeah, Mark, man, that statement kind of messed with me a little bit. Like, whoa, I didn't even think about that,
Right.
I think, I think one of the interesting things also about camp is like you said, all the stuff about what you're doing, but like I mentioned before, is the socialization in terms of when you're a high school kid in normal, quote unquote normal high school, you're not the popular kid who's checking out the hot girl,
I don't know about you, man. I was a popular kid.
see, I was not, and I think.
Hey, Camp Bloomfield, I was popular, but
that's my point. Is that
I have to preface that though. I went to a very nerdy, preppy school, so yeah, I was a popular kid because I was the only blind kid, and then I would act really cool when I was outside of school, like when I was in class, I was like, oh yeah, I know all the math and science and all that stuff. I know it all. Blah, blah, blah. And then when I get outside, I was like, what's up, homie? What's up? What's going on? And everybody's like, what the heck?
Yeah. Well, because I guess what my point was, and I'm going to bring us around to a question to Mark again, but is the socialization, the fact that we actually were able for those 16 days or however long we were there to really get that normal hard knock stuff, where the girl likes you, but then like someone else, or something else happens, where you have you're dealing with friends or like you said, the bullying and stuff like that, or, because when you're the popular kid in camp, the kids, like we had our table for a couple of years. That's how bad it was.
The table of cool blind kids.
And people are like, don't sit there. You can't sit at that table.
I wasn't invited to that one though.
Good. You didn't want to be
I think
there.
you were, man. I think we sat at that table a couple times.
But that socialization is so important for just normal functioning in life, because you really learn, like, okay, even here there's a power structure, even here there's a hierarchy of people, but then again we'd have people that we like I'll never forget Chad Buster, I'll never forget Tommy Dobson, I'll never forget
Tommy Dobson,
and not in a
Jeff Crandall,
not in a terrible way, but in a fond way, like,
right, like, I remember that dude used to always talk about engines and beer, that was just like his funny thing,
but they were part of the whole experience, like, and there's people, like I said, I know their names, I remember their names,
right, even years later, the guy's full name,
but I guess my question for Mark is, how are you going to deal with, and how do you deal with social media and the fact that people rely so much on their devices, even more so than in the 80s? In the 80s, we had Walkmans. You had to, hey, don't turn the Walkman on. But how do you deal with people who are
on their phones?
Like, are you going to incorporate that into the camp, or are you going to try to keep that away from it, or how's that going to work?
Yeah, I mean, think about, it's been a couple of decades since I've been a camp director.
Yeah.
And just think about, how electronics has changed the world. Yeah. And yet, so one of the things that I'm, as an old rusty camp director, trying to sift through, what do I do in that particular space? Do I allow campers to have their phones at camp? Do I allow alumni who are adults to have their phones at camp, or families during family camp, or kids who are 7 through 17 and camp counselors? I'm going to do everything in my power, including myself, to not allow or have electronics, particularly that 7 through 17 year old age range. We're there to do archery. We're there to socialize and sit on a bench while it's your turn and cheer on your other teammate, or play baseball, or go to the dance and dance. And I thinking, and I'm going to have a Zoom call. I'm going to have a monthly Zoom call with campers and families, and I'm going to attend American Camping Association conferences like I did last week, and I want to find out what others are doing in the field of outdoor camping. But my knee jerk is, we're going to hold the electronics back as much as I possibly can.
I hope so.
Yeah, really, because that's interesting. Would you guys take the phones and just have them in the office, or how would that work?
Yeah, probably. Yeah.
Oh, okay. All right.
I don't know. I haven't gotten.
Yeah, it's something tricky.
This is a new. This is a path never traveled for you.
Excitement. I'm really happy that you're back involved.
Yeah, this is awesome, man.
Like I said, I when I saw that news on the camp, there's like a Camp Bloomfield Facebook remembrance page, because when camp burnt down, I cried. I was crying.
Oh, I think we all were crying, man.
I'm not lying.
Because my first thought was, man, where are blind kids going to go this summer? Well, I think about a summer without camp.
I'm never going to be able to go there again and see that place again.
Right.
Like I'm never going to be able to smell the cafeteria, because there's a certain smell in the cafeteria.
Yeah, there is. And it was a good smell. I just want to throw that out.
Yeah. It's just, but it's just a certain vibe, like there's nothing like the place. And so I'm hoping that I'm just glad that someone remembers that and someone was there in such a intense capacity for
so
almost
long.
a decade, you know.
Yeah.
So you understand exactly what it means. So it's really, really heartening to know that you're heading this up and
Yeah.
being the person who's going to.
Yeah, and I appreciate that. You know, we're going to have announcements in the morning with my voice, hopefully belling over a PA system. We're going to create a slab somewhere. We're going to do chicken fat somewhere.
Oh.
I have the bell from camp in the bell from out in Malibu. We're going to ring the bell. We're going to do friendship circle. We're going to do New Year's dance. I don't know up in the high desert how we're going to do Christmas in July, but we're going to do it. And so, yeah, all those traditions, we're going to continue that with Camp Bloomfield and all those traditional camp songs like you led off the evening with. So that is the beauty of me or someone like me. And, you know, Lisa Torres has gone to a summer program with me this summer, and I'm going to bring back some of those people like Stephanie Clary, who's an orientation and mobility instructor. And she's going to come out to camp the first day of orientation and be around for camp counselors to help train in O&M. And so we'll be able to emulate that same magic all over again.
That's going to be awesome, man. Because I'm telling you, the camp needs it.
Are you guys going to be incorporating? I don't know if they've stopped this, but are you guys still going to be incorporating the international aspect? Because that was one of the huge things as a counselor and a camper, is being able to interact with people from all over the world.
All over the world, yeah.
I don't know if they still have that, especially with the COVID stuff going on. But is that something that they're continuing, or does that even still exist? I don't even know if they do that anymore.
Yeah, I don't know. I've had my hands full. I did a day camp this summer. We were going to do a Zoom. I was hired in June, and we had Zoom scheduled for day camps for kids, and I did it in person, so I was inundated with that. And so I'm just starting to roll up my sleeves on all this camp Bloomfield experience, including finding the camp that had preoccupied me most of the summer. So I know how popular international counselors are and were and are. And so I'm not in that space yet. I want to find out what other camps are doing and if it's still possible to be able to recruit international camp counselors. When I was camp director, there were 3 different programs that we were recruiting from. So at any rate, I'm not 100% sure how we're going to handle that yet.
Cool. Wow, man. And, you know, I think camp's important, you know, not just for blind kids, but for I think all kids should go to camp. Because when I went to college, my freshman year in college, I swear to God, there were people there that had never been away from home. And you had people in college that were homesick. And I was like, man, I got that out of the way back in 1984.
1985, man. I had a bad 85.
So, and that's just something you go through, you know, it's just part of and then you learn to love it. And it becomes, so I think it's kind of essential for all kids. All kids should go to camp, in my opinion.
Well, I think it's essential also for the counselors there, especially the ones who aren't visually impaired. Especially when we used to have developmentally delayed sessions, adults and children sessions, the beginning of camp.
Right.
Those were those were boot camp for counselors. Like, whoa, boy. You learn a lot and then the rest of the sessions are, I don't know if you guys they're still doing that, if Wayfinder is still involved in that, but yeah, that was a trip, man. But I guess my point is that even when you work with that for the rest of your life, you're not going to see visually impaired or blind people the same again.
Right. Because you were around them, you know what to expect.
Yeah, especially the high school session when you've got dating wars going on and drama like any other high school, and these kids are going, these counselors are going, yeah, this is the same thing it was for me 2 years ago when I was in high school. These kids are just the same. They're not, they're just.
I honestly don't think that you'll, even as a visually impaired person, that you'll see visually impaired people the same.
Probably not.
I mean, like, when we see another blind person, even when I was, growing up and stuff like that, if I saw another blind person, I'd be like, okay, does he see as much as I do? Is he okay? is everything all right with him? Like, if he's totally blind, then I'm like, oh, I feel sorry for him because I can see better than he can. And it's that kind of thing. But when you went to camp, it was like, who cares?
Right.
Like it threw all that stuff out of the window.
Out the window. Yeah, it certainly did. Yeah, because you're like finding out like yeah, I have coloboma, so I can't you know, certain lighting is terrible for me, while you have no issues with light changes and all. It's just totally opens your eyes. You're absolutely right. Good point, man.
Yeah.
But I wanted to let's wrap this up, Mark. Thank you very much for joining us.
Yeah, man. Thanks again.
Wayfinder. Is there, obviously you can go to the Wayfinder website and donate if you want to. I would assume.
Where would they go if they
want to? It is a nonprofit,
donate?
Of course, right?
Oh, anyone could send a check to the Mark Lucas Foundation.
Donate to the Mark Lucas Foundation.
The Mark Lucas Foundation.
No.
It's a privilege.
It's a privilege to give me your money.
For anyone interested in any of the recreation programs for Wayfinder, including wanting to make a donation, go to the website wayfinderfamily.org. And again, within the next 2-3 weeks, we'll be announcing the dates and the location for Camp Bloomfield and some of the cool programs that are coming up. We're partnering with 7 different agencies across Southern California to do Goal Ball at the Expo Center in December as the Paralympic Games come to LA in 2028. There's going to be a lot of adaptive sports programming that are going to be provided. The International Olympic Committee's thrown over $100 million into LA to invest in adaptive sports, including for people who are blind and visually impaired. So be looking for that on the website. They'll be skiing up at Big Bear.
Oh, so you guys are doing the vision stuff still?
Oh, like the Yosemite?
It used to be vision stuff. It used to be called Visions, which was like where you go Yosemite, where I went to DC. I think you were on that DC trip in '91, Mark. Where we went to the 4-H club and we stayed there.
To DC? I don't remember going to DC.
No, you didn't go to DC. I went there. I went there with Tom Ashby, Kelly Wallace, a whole bunch of other people.
Wow.
Oh yeah. It was awesome. It was the spring of 90, I think. But you guys are doing that kind of stuff still too, that kind of outward non-camp stuff, or are you in charge of that?
Like, did we lose him?
Yeah, he may have accidentally left.
Whoops.
Oh well.
Well, hey, it's
we'll wait for a second, maybe he'll pop back in.
It said on my screen that somebody left. And I was like, well,
it was probably him
because everybody else is talking. And I was like,
right.
So I think he accidentally got disconnected.
Somehow.
It's all good. We'll wait for a couple minutes. If he doesn't come back on, we'll just wrap it up because we got all the information.
Yeah, we got all the good stuff.
So,
we know what's going on. I'm glad to hear that camp is coming back, man. That's so cool. You know, for kids.
I just, you know, I'm partial to the place. I gotta admit, man. Oh, there he is. There's Mark's back. Hey,
he's back. Here's Mark.
Hey.
So
not sure what happened, but go ahead and wrap it up, gentlemen.
We're about to wrap it up. We were just gonna. So you guys are doing all the Yosemite stuff again, huh? Like all the trips,
skiing and stuff. You're doing so. You're not just doing
not necessarily Yosemite, but we are doing visions, adventures, and learning excursions. One of the cool things we did this summer down in Encinitas. 35 years in the field of blindness, and I never experienced taking group out to blind surfing. Have you guys done surfing?
No, we used to go to the beach, but remember that we never did any surfing.
Yeah, so
I bet that's a trip.
Yeah, the trips are back on, and anyone could go to the website and look for the trips. Go Ball in December, alpine skiing in February. So go to and if people can just get information by going to the website and putting their name and their email in, and they can get then information on a periodic basis from the rec department and Wayfinder besides just checking the website.
And it's wayfinderfamily.org, correct?
Correct.
Okay.
Right. Well, pop that in the description down below.
Definitely.
Max, when you get this going. So thank you so much for joining us, Mark.
Yes.
I'm Cruise Control. We got Maxwell Silverhammer.
I'm Maxwell Silverhammer.
I'm going to end this in a special way. Luie, you there still?
Hey, before Luie does that, before you end it, it's wayfinderfamilyservices.org.
Oh, Wayfinder Family Services.
Services.org.
Okay.
Awesome.
Cool.
And I'll be posting in the Camp Bloomfield Remembrance to get the word out there for this podcast. I know a lot of people want to hear from
you.
they
want to hear
you so much. So I'm going to end this the only way I can. Day is done. Gone the sun. From the lakes, from the hills, from the sky. All is well, safely rest. All is right.
And good night.
We sound like crap.
Good night, campers.
Campers.
Thanks for joining us tonight.
Absolutely.
And see you at Camp Bloomfield 2022, campers.
And remember, we love you.
Yes,
later,
we
guys.
do.
And CB is the place to be.
be.
I'm screaming, schwang.